I wish you a pleasant viewing.
I don't love my little brother. I, 21NB, have never once in my life felt any kind of connection to my younger half-brother, 9 meters. I've always pretended to care about him, purely for appearance's sake, and so that my sister, 18F, will keep talking to me. But the truth is, I don't care. I could never see him again for the rest of my life, and still probably wouldn't even miss him. Since the day he was born, I felt nothing but apathy for him. When my dad drove me and my sister to the hospital after church to meet my brother for the first time, all I could think about was how badly I wanted to just go home to play some Minecraft and then go to bed. After my mom handed my baby brother to me for me to hold and connect with him, it felt no different than holding a plastic baby doll. I just gave him back to her as quickly as possible. I had no interest in him whatsoever. This was strange to me, because it was the exact opposite of how I felt when my sister was born. Even though I was only 3 years old, I vividly remember the night she was born, and it is definitely one of my core memories. I was in the back seat of my parents' car as I watched my mom give birth to her in the front passenger seat, and when I got to hold my sister for the first time. An indescribable wave of positive emotions and joy washed over me, and I knew I loved her with all my heart in that very moment I held her in my arms. To this day, it was the happiest moment in all my life. But I felt none of this for my brother. I was confused about this lack of emotion toward him. But I thought that maybe this was only temporary and that I'd soon develop feelings towards him as time went on. And I spent more time with him. My mom needed a lot of help caring for my brother, and my stepdad wouldn't do much to help. So I ended up caring for my brother a lot of the time. This seemed like a good opportunity to develop a connection with him. I fed him, changed his diapers, played with him, taught him. It got to a point where he started calling me mom, rather than our actual mom. But despite all of this, I still never began to feel anything for him. Then, when I was almost 14, my stepdad got arrested for sexually abusing my sister. Which put me into such a blind rage, that if I had found out about what he did while I was home with him, I'd have ended up in juvenile detention for taking a hatchet to his junk while he was taking a nap. But because of him getting arrested, my mom didn't have enough money to live on her own, so she and my brother moved several states away, to live with my grandparents. I only saw my brother a handful of times in between the ages of 14 and 18, and never even thought about him unless someone else mentioned him first. I practically forgot he existed. After I turned 18, I had some religious differences with my dad and my stepmom. They are Jehovah's Witnesses. I am now agnostic. So I went to live with my mom, who now had bought her own trailer to live in, so she and my brother didn't have to live with my grandparents, who were also Jehovah's Witnesses. Suddenly I was around my brother all the time, and he was oddly attached to me for having hardly seen me since he was a baby. My mom had apparently made certain to talk about me and my sister to him all the time while we were separated for those years, to make sure that he missed us for all that time. This annoyed me, because I didn't really want him to miss me. When I started living with him, he always wanted my attention, which I initially would try to give him. But I still felt so distant from him. Playing with him or talking to him just felt like a chore, and there were a million other things I'd rather do. The only reason I gave him any attention at all was just because I wanted to save his feelings. And the wanting to keep him from feeling upset didn't even come from a place of caring about him himself. It only came from a fear that my sister wouldn't talk to me anymore if she knew how I really felt about my brother. I also did treat him pretty poorly on a few occasions. He had a tendency to randomly hit or throw things at my cats and ferrets, which I totally overreacted to a number of times and yelled at him for. One time I yelled at him so bad that he started crying, though, after that time I made sure to keep my emotions in check so that it wouldn't happen again. But again, this wasn't from a place of feeling bad for him specifically. I just was afraid of losing my sister. 15. I know this makes me sound like an awful person. And maybe I actually am. I've always had such a hard time feeling connections to other people, and the people I do feel love towards are the ones who I view as an extension of myself. I've never really connected to my mom either, or even most of her side of the family. I do, however, view my dad's side of the family as being a huge part of my identity. Though my emotional attachment is rare, when it happens, I'm a very loyal person. But I can't figure out how to force myself to feel that for my brother. It's like trying to force yourself to enjoy a food you don't like. I just don't know how to do it. And if I'm being honest, I don't know if I want to put in the effort to do it anyways. I don't even feel bad about this, though I know I should.